Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of Foreclosurepedia podcast. Foreclosurepedia podcast presentation of the Foreclosurepedia Radio Network. Foreclosurepedia Radio Network premieres each Sunday evening at 2300 hours. It's 12:11 a.m. on the 4th of September. I'm creating this brief little pod/screencast for a client of ours who is actually asking us some questions about precisely how does Foreclosurepedia actually process the amount of information that it does in a meaningful manner, and then we can distribute it to our clients. And basically, in essence, what we're talking about is, as you look at our main page here, this is the Foreclosurepedia Wiki. And as you come down here, you can, for example, see all of our active sites. We currently have 118 active properties. This basically translates to 6,900 plus square miles. We can go over here to one of these properties, for example, bring up a loan number, bring up some information on that. We also have the ability to hotlink, if you will, hyperlink information. For example, if we want to go in here and immediately find out about the HUD mortgagee letter that's attached to most of our work that we do today for the United States government, this is it right here. Go back to the main page here for a second. We have some news, some quick links here. We even have our YouTube channel, you can see right here.
I'd like to welcome everybody back to another edition today of
Subject we'll get into here in a moment. But anyway, how exactly do we do this? The base software that we actually use is MediaWiki. MediaWiki is open source software. What that means is free of charge. It's very powerful software. It's based upon the concept that everything, the source code, everything in and out of it, the extensions and such are free. They will always be free. It's coded predominantly from an open source platform, a Linux base, if you will. So we have MediaWiki right here. There are different versions or flavors of this. Now, how do we get MediaWiki to do precisely what we want it to do? Well, you can see when we come here, we have items called extensions. These extensions are free of charge as well. They are as long and as wide and as the mind can stretch. And without getting too technical, what makes MediaWiki work? These are all database calls within what's called an SQL database. We're not going to get into all this. I actually have to program a lot of this. You don't. You have the ability, if you contact us directly, we'll set you up with the initial package of software. There's absolutely no issues, no problems going into it. And then if you want us to quarterly update it or do special fixes for you, we have pricing for that, simply because that takes some of our time that we have to do that. So let's go back here for a moment. Let's go back to our site. One of the biggest issues that any individual who's in the REO industry has is security. You need to release enough information so that people know you're doing these kind of jobs. You need to, perhaps your contractor in the field might need to know what's going on. Your clients perhaps may need access to that. But you don't want the common person to get information on that. And as you can see, when you click that, you get a warning here that it's restricted. You can't get into it. You can't backdoor it. We actually have forms we've coded in here. You're going to see here, you can't even enter those to try to backdoor it. So, what do? Well, we go here. We log in. we go back to the same page, we pull our property, and now we get some meaningful data. For example, this is who we do it for, the addresses, key codes, picture of it. We actually entered some notes because this is way out in the boonies. The question though is, you have a lot of properties. How precisely do you go about making sanity out of that? How can you actually go into creating some informative reports that may help us? The example I like to use is winterization. When I pull this report up, so to speak, this winterization, and in these I have them batched in levels of 25, you can see clearly and concisely it tells me what properties are and are not winterized. So you can see right away you have some meaningful data. Let's go down here and randomly select one. In addition to this information, you can see we can semantically break down this information any way that we want. For example, this was a property that we were doing for MCS. The front door was an A389. We have our latitude, longitude, so we can directly export that in a CSV type file to our contractors in the field so they can upload it immediately into GPS. We can find out whether or not that has come up anywhere else. In this instant case, we see it hasn't. So in a nutshell, MediaWiki is our software platform. Gives us stats everywhere. How many times has it been accessed? We can, through a security protocol, lock it down. So we can make statements stating that to our clients, hey, it's secure. We have the ability, if we want, for example, these are the clients we are working with right now. The YouTube channel, we actually maintain some videos in here for people to look at to try to learn what's going on. Looks like boarding of windows, how to do it, trending along, drilling out of a lock, almost 5,000 hits. One of the things a lot of people don't understand here as well is that by creating these videos, and this is whether you do a podcast, an actual high definition video, which we do, perhaps you're doing a screencast, you can be paid for that. That's right, you can be paid for that. So let's go in here for a moment and let's take a look at precisely what's going on. I can go in here and I can pull, for example, my analytics, which is just information on who's viewing it, where is it being viewed at. For example, right now, today I've made $29.01 for doing absolutely nothing. That's right, absolutely nothing. I had to put those videos on there because of the fact that I had to give some type of information to my contractors in the field when I was vetting them so they could learn what was going on. And because the advertisements that are on those videos, whether a person clicks it, views it, regardless, our good buddies at Google, because they now own YouTube, are going to pay us money. So that's it in a nutshell. I'll probably expand upon these. You were probably wondering, though, upon conclusion, how do I get MediaWiki? Well, quite easily, actually. Let's go back to our main page. Let's click download, and here it is, 2 flavors. The 1.19.2 version is for more of the people who like to work with have a nice clean CSS HTML interface. 1.18.5 is for more people like me who actually get into the nuts and bolts of the coding. And that's really it in a nutshell. So we'd like to thank you for tuning in to another version of Foreclosurepedia podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to forward them to COO@foreclosurepedia.org. And we hope you guys have a good evening.